Zach Taylor, man, I think he's holding back the Bengals. And I don't say that lightly because I understand that he took the Bengals to a Super Bowl. But in my opinion, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase took the Bengals to that Super Bowl. And last night was a bit of a sloppier game than you might have anticipated, right? Um, you know, the Lamar did not have his best game. He overthrew his receivers a few times, one that led to an interception. But I understand that the offensive line is still an issue in Cincinnati, but the play calling is really bad. And I say this as someone who has experienced a ton of bad play calling with a tenth of the talent as a New York Giants fan. There is no motion. There's not much motion. There's not a lot of misdirection. And he's trying to establish the run in this really old-fashioned way with Joe Mixon that sets them up to have these really slow starts until they actually start taking chances later in the game to get back in these games. And that's why they've lost a lot of close games because they have the talent to win them. But there's a lack of urgency from the Bengals early on in games in terms of the play calling. And I feel like it set them up for a lot of failure. And I don't like that because I'm a fan of Joe Burrow and I want them to be able to have success. But, I don't know about you, Bradley, but the for me, Zach Taylor has shown his ass basically in this first few weeks of the NFL season. And it's unfortunate because I know that the Bengals are not going to fire him because of the cheap way that Mike Brown runs the team. He doesn't pay coaches not to play for him. We've heard this time and again. He lets contracts expire before he does anything about the coaching position on his team. It's why they have head coaches forever, and they just extended him. So I have deep concerns about Zach Taylor, and I want Cincinnati to have a Super Bowl trophy. I root for Joe Burrow and I root for Jamar Chase, who I think is the most talented receiver in the NFL, but he doesn't have the coaching to get him the opportunities that he should be getting, in my opinion. And so I think coaching is the number one problem on that team right now, not the defensive side of the ball, because Lou Amarillo seems to be doing a really good job. But other than that, I'd be a little worried on the offensive side.
The issue for me is that this is an offense that, and we've seen this with a few teams that have a few star players, and you see it kind of in a similar situation with Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals, an offense that's basically hinging upon a few skill players and basically being like, okay, do something. Like Joe Burrow do something, Jamar Chase do something, T Higgins do something, or Kyler do something, and it's not actually based on a sound strategy or a sound scheme. The parts can only work so much in something that is completely reliant on a few players basically not making any mistakes. And the defensive side of the ball is less skilled and less talented, and they are probably playing better than the offense. And it really looks quite bad for not only Taylor but the offensive line coach that this group that they spent a lot of money on to upgrade at numerous positions is still looking as bad, if not worse, than the line from last year.